Hello, everyone. We are live. Great to see you. This is Val Evans, and I have Amy Jae. Hey, Amy.
Hey.
We are coming to you live tonight to talk about the Gemini clue. And hope you can hear me okay. I'm in a new studio. Amy and I are both working on our sound. So right now, mine is dismal because it's a whole story. But thank you for putting up with the audio here. And wow, Toy, thank you for your comments. We've got some great comments tonight. We'll get to the Gemini clue. What do you think, Amy? I mean, it's pretty amazing how many things in this case, the Moscow, Idaho murder case that happened on November 13th, 2022.
Lots of
How many
twos.
things come in twos or more, which would be Gemini. Had that struck you when we were first going over this case? I remember it did.
Yeah, absolutely. And what I love is your 1 and 2 on the house, because it does appear like two houses are put together.
Exactly.
Two blondes, two really good friends, two other blondes, two surviving. There's just so much of that Gemini energy. Two timelines. I would almost feel like there's two timelines.
Oh, good one. And the other thing too is
they talked about that.
okay.
The timeline was earlier that the coroner came on with, and then it changed to later. So we have two timelines. We have two people with similar sounding names as suspects. It's just it's crazy to me.
It is. And when I look at that house with basically two houses put together and it's split like that, well, I see Uranus, because Uranus is to split, as we know in forensic astrology. And so when we see clues, a lot of times if we see something with Uranus, it'll be something split, but it could be even a car. Like a car is two-toned, where the colors are split. So we definitely saw literally this home being, split in half with this incredible shock, which Uranus also represents.
And Angel D, you're naming all that I forgot. Two jacks, Gemini is a big part of this.
Two jacks, yes, exactly. Yep. So and then the 1122. So
that's a big number.
Three twos. So it's a little bit nuts. So what we're going to do is we're going to just start out here. I'm going to go to my second slide. For any of you who are interested in learning more about forensic astrology, you can go to Amazon, and only go to Amazon. Don't go to any other place to get Forensic Astrology 101. Or you can follow some of my charts that I post and also announcements on Instagram at Forensic Astrologer. So we have a lot of folks on here on Instagram, and always great to see you on there. So thank you for coming on.
And you can also get the book, then go to the charts on Instagram and, do your sleuthing right along with her. I have the book and it's great.
Exactly. So I'm looking at the Koberger chart, and this is his birth chart. Now, we were talking last week, I think it was, where you can identify a person and how he or she is doing based on their planet when they are an adult. The adult for a man would be male, would be Leo. Mars, sorry, not Leo. I don't know what I'm talking about. So I need some coffee. So for Koberger, Mars, we look to Mars. And so interesting how they've been talking a lot about Lionsgate, which is the portal right now that's happening. And you know who does a great job explaining that is Joni Petrie, which is she's one of my favorite astrologers. And but I've noticed that not many people are talking about, they talk about the Lionsgate, which is so much energy around Leo right now, but they're not talking about Uranus, which is cutting a nasty square to Leo at the moment. And what that means is anything that's representative of Leo, and that would be Koberger here, based on his birth chart, Mars being in Leo, it means that there's a sudden interruption of something. So Uranus can also mean suicide too. So there's going to be a lot of, maybe Leos who are just, hopefully not, but they're either shocking people or they're being shocked. So it's a really hard square. And I wonder what it means for the portal if what they say is true, that there is a lion's gate.
Mm-hmm.
Will it be split? Will it be jolted? Which is what Uranus represents. So that's one thing I think about. Now, look at this chart here. And just for everybody, we're looking at the birth chart of Koberger. We also look at crime charts. And what is a chart? A chart is just a map of something that started. So we start as humans when we're born. A job starts when you start your first day of work. So you can pull a chart and see what your job's going to be like. You can pull a chart for vacation and see how your vacation's going to go. And for crimes, you can pull a chart and see what the sky is telling us. And we use ancient techniques to be able to identify. And I've also, through years of research, developed my own techniques. So it's kind of just adding on to what I first learned when I was studying forensic astrology. So I labeled lion on the chart for Koberger. Why? Well, there's always a negative and positive for every sign. I can tell you a whole lot about Pisces because I'm a sun in Pisces. But with Leo, now you're a Leo, and I mean, you're family oriented. Fun is important to you. I always call the fifth house, which is Leo, I always call the fifth house the J-Lo house because, and I said this on my membership channel the other night, she's always singing about love, which is Leo, the heart. She's singing Mi Corazon, and parties, which that's a clue that we can apply to crime charts, especially this crime chart tonight. So with Mars in Leo, what was he dealing with? Bullying, from what they said, Koberger, who is allegedly or the accused murderer of these poor students in Moscow. But anything to say on Leo?
Well, I know that, when you go back to the Lion's Gate, they're also talking about, because it's in Leo and you were talking about Uranus, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's also a sign of, maybe more public figures or big figures or something like that. And so there may be, like you said, some shocking things kind of come out. And not that, Koberger is like a celebrity or anything, but this case has so much attention put on it internationally and everywhere,
I know.
there could be something shocking. And with his Leo in his chart.
Yes, I know. What does that mean? Well, he's certainly in shock. He's shocked that he probably got caught if he did, if he was the perpetrator of this crime. And Unspoken Heart Stillness has two parents who have been arrested for drugs. Good call there. And then also on Instagram, I had posted how Xana is like the twin to her, or was the twin to her mom. So that was another twin. And I think what's so chilling, not to get off the topic but of Leo, but what's so chilling is when you see Koberger talking to his lawyer. And to me, I mean, it just gives me chills. It's almost like it's like somebody's playing a trick on us, which is what Gemini represents. Mercury is the trickster, and it messes with your head. So I feel like it's just this cruel trick that we have to see Koberger leaning over to, to his lawyer, Ann Taylor, last name Taylor, a Leo name.
Mm.
These names are so literal because Taylor is a tail, and so it's a Leo name. And also last names with sun, because Leo represents a sun. Could be SEN. And it can also show places like, I don't know, Albertson, or, those types of names. So we look for names in these charts, and sometimes it's pretty amazing. I'm still collecting all the names. Like I make a note. I don't really have any type of reference for the names. I know that they're out there, but I just go with what I know so far, with what I've researched. So let's see, what else do I want to say? Okay, so he is Mars as an adult. That's what he turned into. And so this birth chart might not be perfect because I don't have the time, but you can still see that Mars is squaring Jupiter and Pluto. And that is such a concentrated mix of power. It's huge. It's 100 times a million, and in Scorpio, that is extreme rage and revenge. And it is very, very hard to deal with Scorpio. Everybody has Scorpio in their chart. A lot of people say, well, thank God I don't have Scorpio. Well, you do. Because
You cut
it
it off.
does represent a house in your chart. So when you get a transit, and it might be squaring another planet, you're going to have that feeling of just, well, it's not going to hopefully be to where you're going to commit a crime, but it is a burning feeling. And I think forensic psychologists, they try to get into the mind of killers. And I'd be interested in talking to a forensic psychologist. They certainly,
Cool.
I think my book is I talked to one a long time ago, and she's like, oh, we talked about your book in class. And I was like, really? But they want to get into the mind of these killers. And so with Mars squaring Jupiter and Pluto, it's just, well, it's the lion. It roars. So roaring from revenge. That's what I would say. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't know. I think there is something to do with the lion's gate, with the lion there. And the whole, it just feels like something's going to come out. When a lion roars, everybody hears it. I mean, I've been to the zoo, you hear the lion roar, and it's magnificent. I mean, it echoes through the whole zoo. And I just feel with that Uranus and that lion's gate and this, something is going to come out. I'm just feeling that. I don't know what.
I'll tell you when it's going to happen. I
Okay.
think it's going to happen during retrograde, because it's like, bam, everything goes backwards, and people fight, things come out, things get revised, alibis get revised. So yeah, I think if anything, August 23rd, that's when, now I believe we're in retrograde now, because when the shade starts, thank goodness I didn't go to that Lionel Richie concert. Did you see that?
No.
Oh my God. Like,
Lionel?
what's that?
Lionel, his name?
Oh my God. That is amazing. Well, it was a shock because he didn't show up at Madison Square Garden. So there you go. That's a perfect example.
That is. That's exactly what I'm saying. That's what I'm feeling. Oh my gosh. Perfect.
Wow, I'm getting chills. And it's almost like sometimes when you see these things, it's like a sign of what's to come. Okay. Poor Lionel, he had to be in the mix where all of these people, they can't remember how many, I mean, thousands and thousands and thousands converged for the concert, waited an hour, and then he said he couldn't come in because of weather. Now, usually during Mercury retrograde, which we're in, if you're trying to say something that isn't true, it backfires. So they're all questioning, like, what do you mean you couldn't get in? We all got here. So anyway, that's a whole other story. We should do a chart on that concert. So,
Yeah, that's really cool. But what you just said is during retrograde, if you're not telling the truth, something backfires. And we go back and revisit, we revise,
exactly.
we renew, and oh my,
Oh, I know.
how
I know.
could that impact? Who knows? Alibis, evidence, DNA collection.
Yeah.
Wow.
And we get
I'm
dinged
excited.
sometimes. Yeah, we get told sometimes, well, this is old news. Well, that's exactly what you need to do. And hopefully, investigators are listening to this. Sometimes they do.
Yeah.
This is when you go back to your evidence. You go back into the files, and you're gonna
Mhm.
see stuff. Especially August 23rd. That's a good one. That's a really strong day. It's when the weather comes in. All the magnets start firing, and this. Do you ever notice when Mercury retrograde starts? It just like there's this weird wind, and it suddenly things start blowing around, and it's just because of the magnetic forces. Everything's going backwards and telling us to go backwards.
Mhm.
You better go back, or you're going to be sorry. And so I'm hoping that's what happens in this case.
And exactly, this case is blown up. There's been so much stuff for them
Yes.
to maybe go back
Yeah.
and just review their notes. What I like to do in retrograde is, there's certain time periods you go back and you look at those. Well, because I keep a journal every day, a dream journal and a meditation journal,
Uh-huh.
I go back and I read to see what was happening at that time. And so
Yes.
I feel like that would be a great thing if there are LE listening to us. Go back and just
Mhm.
forget about everything you've known this far and just kind of refresh, renew, start from that point A again. You know what
Yeah,
I mean? Yeah.
absolutely. Well, it's making me want to edit our layout. Um, because I want to be able to see you and see our let's see here. I want to see our comments too.
Yes.
And oops, wait a minute, what happened there? Okay. So I wanted to, well, that's good enough. Anyway, yeah, Angel D was saying that the lion or Leo came up in so many different of our collaborations. All your cards, that keeps coming up. So, and let's talk about real quick, if you're a Leo, and this is going to show, and sometimes it's not that bad, but you're going to, this is your birth, your birth or your solar chart starts this month. So you're going to have that kind of just anxious energy, because Uranus, when it squares you, you're hectic, you're chaotic. So it can be tough to deal with that all year long. And for, especially Leos right now, that's the stamp for this year for their birthdays. So it's very tough. Uranus, not easy.
Yeah.
So, okay. Now, let's see. You want to take some comments here? Oh
Yeah.
gosh. Look at this. Ellie took 3 dumpsters of trash right at the beginning, 2 or more.
Yeah.
And you were saying Pluto was a big, big clue as well. Pluto meaning trash. So.
And I know they have a gag order, but not much was really said about that. If
I
you think
know.
about the beginning before they really put that gag order out there, I
Yes.
don't, there's a lot of things you don't remember, or it wasn't significant enough that they emphasized it, or yeah.
Mhm. Well, now Heather was playing with the chart for Koberger and thinks it's Aquarius rising. I think that's possible. I also like Aries as a rising sign because of Koberger. It's an Aries name, and he had problems with anger. People saw him as an angry person, which is a rising sign, what people see you as. So I think that's also a possibility. Usually Aries, though, they have reddish hair, just like Leo. So that's the only thing that's kind of keeping me from saying he's an Aries rising. But still, like we said in last week's broadcast, you can still get a lot, even if you don't have the time. And what happens on his birthday? Well, the day starts. The day starts at midnight. So on the day that started and you were born, you can still draw that chart. And I look at that chart and consider it as a valid birth chart. It has worked for me, but you guys will have to let me know.
Yeah.
So let's get on to, this is the crime chart for the Moscow, Idaho murders. And at the very top is a fixed star, Athena Palace. It's right next to those two little planets at the top, the moon and black moon Lilith, and that's sorority. So sorority is right up at the top in the 9th house of university. So that is and I had said this in my earlier videos, which you can see on my membership channel, my new membership channel, and we're going to have a lot of interesting new content on there. But back in that first, I want to say it was the first show or second show, I had said that Athena Palace, or the sorority, I guess you could say sorority or fraternity, you see that straight drop down, which is Pluto. That's jealousy. Pluto is the Scorpio planet. So what brought this group down was revenge or jealousy. And so, if we see a lot of, this is what I do, when I see a lot of signs and symbols, and I think, that seems like Gemini, I'll go to the crime chart and I'll look where the sign is of whatever, themes that I'm getting. And I'll say, okay, is there a planet in that sign? And of course, there's Mars in Gemini. And so we've looked at this before, and could be two of a lot of things. But in the 9th house, that is a university. The 9th house is university. And it's also someone who publishes. When you have Mars, it can be someone who works with metal and construction too. So there could be construction themes. There could be, what we might not know is there might have been 2 construction sites near the university, because Mars represents nails. Gemini is small things, so small little pieces of metal. So that would be perfect for like a construction site. Maybe, he was seen around there, or he was driving around there somewhere. So, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to show one more thing, and then we'll get to maybe a couple more things, and then Amy will get to you, because we definitely want to draw a chart. No, we want to draw a card. And so here's the twin universities with the clock towers. State and University of Idaho.
Yeah, that's another two universities.
2 clock towers.
And 2 clock towers, which, you know what, to me seems really significant, because again, I feel like there's something screwy with the timelines, that there's almost 2 timelines, that there's almost a timeline maybe when something happened. And in my own, just for me, I don't see BK there at the time. I see him coming after, which also signifies 2 timelines for me. And they've changed that. So the fact that there's 2 clocks, just, I don't know, really kind of sticks out to me.
It's a sign of 2 different timelines, like you're saying. That's what you're saying.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's
Not so significant, but that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that couldn't have been more literal.
Yeah.
So does that mean there are different people assigned to those different timelines?
Yeah, I think so.
Skincare. Kaylee's B-Day, June 8th, 2001. Maddie's birthday, May 25th, 2001. Both were Geminis. Both died at the age of 22. I mean, that's too much Gemini. It's definitely a clue.
Mm-hmm.
And what was weird, and I think we talked about this offline, last time when I don't want to get too specific, but one of the victims was on the Today Show and talking, one of the victim's parents,
Oh.
and she was saying, she was referencing how she was coping with her husband. And I was looking down, I was listening to it, and I thought she kept saying Gemini, but she kept
Oh,
saying Jim and I. Jim,
yes.
I. Yeah.
I caught that too, and that's exactly what I thought she was saying. I kept saying, "Why is she saying Gemini?"
I
Oh my
know.
gosh, I thought the same thing.
Yeah, so that was a little weird. So it just keeps coming up. It's almost like the universe wants us to know that there's two of something and it's major. And there you go, skincare Carrie. A lot of people are good with numbers on here. I gotta say, the
Yeah,
murders happened in 2022.
right.
And if you guys, I always like to mention Nora. She Oh, I accidentally pressed that. I didn't read that first, but she's amazing. I hope she can come on here. But Nora is our numerologist, and so I love her channel. And I'll put it in the description box because I forget what her channel name is.
Susie, crazy. You're absolutely right.
Oh,
Judge,
what did I
judge,
miss?
judge, judge. That's the judge's name. Judge, judge, judge.
Are you two judge names? Oh my
Yeah,
God.
like Your Majesty, judge, judge,
Yeah.
judge. Is it that you know? And you said
Crazy.
something too that you said. What was it that there's a little trickery or a little? It does almost feel like it's crazy making. It is insane. It's like it's almost like I don't know.
I
You know,
know.
I don't know what you said. What planet was that when you were looking at that? You said I can't remember what you said, but it does
Mars,
feel like
Mars and Gemini.
trickery. Was it trickery or something?
Oh, Mercury. Mercury is the
Mercury.
trickster. Yes.
Yes.
And so that's why, you can't find stuff when you're trying to travel. It's like, Mercury's like, haha. And I had explained that when we're all babies in our birth chart, we represent Mercury. So we are the tricksters. We run real fast, play hide and go seek.
Yeah.
We like to trick people. We like to play games. So that's just, we represent Mercury at some time in our lives until we're about 5 or 6. And so I wanted to answer this one too. D Smalls, do either of you feel that maybe BK was driving around and saw something and the people at the house saw him see them? Maybe he was onto something with the undercovers. Oh, so I think that's also another thing people are talking about. They're talking about like, is it like an undercover officer or something? Oh, because he was interested in working with the police. I
Oh,
don't know. I'm not sure. When I start seeing really complicated explanations, I I pivot because it
mhm.
starts to get too much. It's
Yeah.
usually the simpler version. And now he's talking about his alibi. I wouldn't be surprised if we were looking at 2 alibis.
I just did that. Did you see me do
Oh,
that?
did you?
2 alibis. You got it.
Oh,
I
I know.
absolutely think because you also said, when you were looking at the crime chart, would he be represented by, Mars?
Yes. And it's
Okay.
interesting because and that's why
And it's
people
in Gemini, and
yeah,
I went right to got that thought, 2 alibis.
yes, 2 alibis. Now remember, this is what makes astrology a little complicated. You can look at information in different ways through one planet. So I can see Mars retrograde as the killer, but I can also look at it as the police because it represents the police. So in retrograde being detrimented, they're both not at capacity. At least he wasn't that night. There was something wrong with him. Might have been drinking or doing drugs or something. And then usually with crime charts with Mars retrograde, it's usually like the police don't have a good case. They're getting stuff mixed up. And now I wanted to, let's see, there was a couple of more things that had to do. Oh, yeah, Linda, this is what I was getting at. We were always from the very beginning thinking maybe there were two weapons, maybe two cars. Exactly. So, yeah. And then, oh, interesting. It says, I didn't know this. Charlottesville, Virginia had 3 killings the same exact day, others injured.
I didn't know
Interesting.
that.
Interesting. So, and then remember, would we have 2 different police? Like we'd have Washington State Police, or we'd have Washington Police, and then we'd have Idaho Police
Yeah.
that had to work on it together.
Mhm.
And now it doesn't seem like at first glance that they were that detrimented, because it looks like that there was some good police work that was done to catch him. So I think that there needs to be somebody saying good job to them that they got him in the first place. That whole story of how they got him, and I guess it was it a security officer or somebody who,
Yes. Yeah, I was looking for the car, looked through the registration.
Skincare Carrie, you're a rock star. 2 different sororities represented in the house. How about that? 2
2000
survive.
white Elantras, Tilly Cat says, wow.
Yeah, and two surviving, I don't know if they're victims, but two survivors.
Right.
I would say they're victims. They're probably still pretty traumatized.
Right.
And then that was weird too. Remember, we saw it looked like an Elantra that was in the driveway, and it was like, is that the car they're looking for? Why is that in there? Remember that? I remember seeing something that was like very similar. So, Hope and Happiness says, I'm a Leo. Well, Leos are the strongest of the zodiac. So usually they're the ones, if there's any kind of interruption, they can handle it better than anybody else. I know we Pisces, we just go and hide and go to sleep. Hope we never wake up.
I just thought of another too, now that we're on the roll here.
Okay.
That parent that you were talking about that sounded like she kept saying Gemini, it was Gemini.
Yep.
They had 2 vehicles impounded. What does that tell you? In the driveway,
Yes.
2 vehicles impounded.
That's right. 2 people owned the 1122 home. We could just go on and on.
It's crazy making, really.
It's almost like I don't want to jump to conclusions, because now, I think it was soon after it was like a UPS driver. No, it was an Amazon driver, and he jumped out, and he was delivering a birthday present. I don't know if you guys remembered, to a little girl, and she went out to get it, and he kidnapped her. And that was Mars and Gemini. And to my knowledge, there was only one person for that. So Mars would be like a driver, or Gemini is also in a vehicle. And it was a totally different chart. But still, it is a possibility it was just one person. But with all of these clues, it's like, what are we being told? Are we being told that there are 2 or more? So I'm going to go back to, we need to pull a card, I think. What do you think we should?
Well, we can pull a card. I definitely think that there is some messages in the 2, and take a double look, take a second look at a second perspective. It's that kind of thing. There's maybe two different situations going on. Again, I just feel like, so it could be 2 storylines, but somehow they come together.
Look at this. 2 or more other.
Yes.
Oh my God. 2 Linda Lane ring cameras. 2 L's in Linda Lane. Oh, no, I put you right on there, Skincare Carrie.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so I guess one of the questions I'd be interested in is, what is Gemini trying to tell us? What's the clue? Why do we keep getting Gemini?
Yeah, so maybe we could ask if Gemini is an important theme or something. I mean, because we can go down rabbit holes, but that's a heck of a lot of coincidences in Gemini. You know what I mean? That's a lot of coincidences.
It
So I'm just
is.
going to pull some energy, just some cards regarding the energy around the Gemini and see what it tells us here. Okay. Clear my cards for a minute, just make sure.
And just so you know that everybody's always gone back and forth, a twin, a triplet. But if you look at the picture of them,
Oh,
he
yeah,
looks very similar to his brother. And so
absolutely.
there's two that look alike with their sister, and weird,
And
but
both
the
two
sister,
have the same, well, they're obviously, if they're
yeah,
twins,
they
there's going to
obviously
be
look,
two.
look alike. They don't look like the sister, but then the sister looks like one of the victims, or
Oh my God.
So
Oh, you just gave me a real, ooh, that's
I know
kind of a chill on that one.
it's just strange, these themes.
Okay, so the card that came out was accelerated motion, and it's an 8. So for you numerology people out there, 8, transformation. But so I ask, what's the energy around this twin, this Gemini stuff? And it's accelerated motion. I just feel like, and I feel that. I feel that things are speeding up, things are kind of coming out. And again, with that retrograde, with that the Leo Lion's Gate and the Uranus and all that kind of stuff, that maybe things are accelerating. Maybe there's going to be some new energy put on this. So let's see if we can get another card for that.
Wow,
But
wow.
that makes sense that it's okay. And I got to point this out because we do this all the time. She's got dark hair
Exactly,
and
exactly.
she's
Yep.
staring up at the star. This almost could look like, one of the victims, even, you know what I mean? And I always felt like that Xana's been a strong presence in this. She wants justice, but she wants the right person to pay for it. So
Sure, yeah, absolutely. Wow.
so that's interesting. Let me see. What else about this Gemini energy? What else do you want to tell us?
Well, Penny D, good to see you. Hi, Crystal.
Okay, so I got this one, which is the sacral chakra. It's a 2. But 2 is about relationship, or the sacral chakra is about relationships. And it's a 2. And I ask about the energy around here. There is I feel like there has to be some type of a relationship that BK has with someone in that house. Because I know that there's theories out there that maybe they planted the evidence, but you don't plant the evidence on a random person. Like if there was a crime, I couldn't say Val did it. You know what I mean? It's if I didn't know Val.
Right,
So if
right.
someone did want to frame him, they'd have to know him, which makes me feel like he had to have some kind of relationship um, with someone. And
Yeah.
it could be something, even a matter that they bought or sold drugs or something like that, or he stalked them one time at a party or something. But there's something there in that too.
Yes, yes. Thank you, Unsolved Cases.
Yeah,
Yeah, and Toy
absolutely.
is saying regarding your card, this is 100% cosmic. And that first card, wow, again about the brunette.
Mhm.
I have a feeling we're going to see one of the twins coming up in as a witness or as somebody in the case. And
Are you
looking,
kidding me?
what's that?
That you just okay, go on, keep going.
Oh
Sorry, I
yeah,
didn't
yeah.
mean to interrupt.
And
I'm terrible with that.
sorry, sometimes they say such, the comments are so good. I'm like, what? But yeah, like I really think that there could be like with that card of that a girl. Now, it could be a woman
Yeah.
looking in the distance, like you said, with dark hair. So it's obvious there's going to be somebody with dark hair that's coming forward that we don't know. Okay? It's August 13th. We're going to know this probably in the next 2 months. So who is this woman or girl? Could it have been a witness? And so this is like a comet. And Grace and I did a show about comets where they are bad omens. I don't know if that was a comet, but it was something definitely cosmic, I guess. But I'm trying to think what else that would be. Like that was definitely Uranus because it was very fast in the air. So could be Uranus represents DNA. So and we are talking about that. They are bringing on two now. There's another genealogist. So we're going to have two genealogists going head to head. So yeah. Mhm.
Wow. Okay, and the last card I got on this was really interesting. I'm not so sure the message is what I'm attracted to, but it's the hand. And it's a 5, but this says financial and material changes because I really felt like the person that did this had, remember I told you homemade tattoos, which isn't right, but self-inflicted tattoos. I don't know exactly how to say it on his hands. Like he put or unidentified DNA handprint. Because I also got, he had tattoos on his hands, but I also got a thumb, meaning like a thumbprint. So I don't know, but what if that has something to do with it?
That
Something
is
with the
kind of
hands.
interesting. Mhm. Yes, and, so could be now 5 is Leo, it's a Leo number, and we've gotten the clue 5 before. Wasn't it like 5 birds or something?
Yes,
It's almost like
yes.
so
Uh,
it's 5 is a clue to us. We need to concentrate on that.
so what is 5 in numerology? I'm not so versed in 5. Does it mean transformation or something? Or
Um,
um,
I can't remember.
I can't see, I can't either. Come on, numerologists out there.
We need more on here. But yeah, let's see. Yes, I think everybody feels like this. I can't
Yeah.
help feeling there's a definite strange situation about the 8-hour gap before calling 911. And I was just watching the man that came on the news talking about how he lived in that house. And he said that was a creaky old house. You can hear people walking up.
Mhm.
And he thought that the victims heard him approach. So, but I think what people don't understand is how is it that the witnesses, and I think this has just been redacted. I think it seems as if they, I mean, maybe they told the police something and the police decided not to share it. So, and it's a shame that that would happen, obviously, probably to preserve the case, but then it makes these people look as if something else was up. Like if they heard somebody, one of the victims say something, and yet they didn't hear, screams or anything like that.
Mhm.
So, or like the big thump. But there's definitely something wrong. It is, it, I don't know, unless they were blasting music. Sometimes people, I mean, these days, people put their headphones on, like, God, you
Yeah.
guys are being, and then they just put the headphones on,
Mhm.
maybe take a pill or,
Yeah, yeah, well,
the
that's
vape,
probably the more likely.
What's that?
I said that would be more likely if they were
Yeah,
maybe, under the
yeah.
influence themselves, but we got some good comments there. 5 change, if we go back a little bit, conflict, that's a really good one.
Okay.
5 degrees of Leo, what would that be?
Yeah, we keep getting Leo again. So, maybe there is something, I'm trying to think of maybe could be something on someone's hand.
That's exactly what I felt when I saw it. Mostly was the hand was a clue because I was still asking about the energy of Gemini and I think there's two people involved in the actual, um, the actual crime. And so, and they
Yes, a
have,
spider or something. I think one of the commenters, or I think you were
yes,
talking about.
I got spider. I got
Yes,
spider
you did.
for the weapon. Yeah.
Yeah. Five is the adventurer, independent action.
Okay.
Um, yeah, Cheryl, I
Mm.
relate to that. I was
Oh,
I
yeah.
was pretty upset, but when I was really scared was when I was focused on the Delphi murders. That really, not to say that Moscow was any different or less horrifying, but that one was just like, especially when, I mean, in both cases, you don't know who it was. Where did he go?
Right.
It's just awful. And also, I don't know if any of you follow astrology and the nodes, but the South Node just came out of Scorpio. And so I wonder if that means that this case is going to be left behind and a new, hopefully not, but a new famous, because before it was Delphi, then it was Moscow. I think another one's going to come in with the nodes changing into different sign. I hope not, but just thought I'd throw
Could
it.
that be he walks in a different people are charged?
Yes. Yeah.
I don't want to put that out there. If he is guilty, I want him to be charged, but if he's not, I want the right people to be charged. So I want to just, put that out there, but
Oh gosh, Anna had her hand cut. Oh, it's just so awful. Yes, I did, Heather. I'm glad you asked that. Have you asked the question about the case and pulled a chart, a horary chart, not event? I have. In fact, I wanted to do that maybe tonight, if we could, right before we sign off tonight. But I did, and it just validated what I was seeing. I don't have anything specific, but it's a very good question. And let's see. Angel D. Amy, can you ask if the knife is the only
red
red
room.
room weapon involved, please?
I knew what you meant.
He's like,
Oh, Jack Nicholson and the Shining
yes,
reference.
I know, yeah.
Oh. Yeah, I don't know that I've ever really dove into that, but this card just flew out.
Oh,
This
wait.
is the Light Seers Tarot. Boy, let me get it over there. It's the sun. It's the sun, but that would be a definite yes if you're looking at just the yes and no aspect of it. But the sun, Leo, right?
Absolutely. Oh my God. Sorry, I have to pause because you can't hear me when I put just you on the screen.
Oh, okay, sorry. And it's
No. I just I was fumbling around. Okay. So, oh my gosh. All right. So here's the thing. We keep seeing the sun. We keep seeing Leo themes. So what does Leo mean? Leo can mean a boss. Somebody's boss might come forward with some information. When you draw your job chart, if you want to see who your boss is, hopefully your boss doesn't land on Algol like mine has in the past, but which is the devil. But it can mean someone. Well, it means someone in power. But it's so interesting that you got this light, like it looks like this spark, this light. Oh, and that's definitely Uranus. So it could be DNA, but I wonder if it means if there's some more coming out about the daytime.
Well, I was still in the energy of two knives, and then what were you talking about? Devil popped up.
Did that just wait a minute? Did you?
That just popped out. I was shuffling as you were talking.
Right. And that
And
came
you-
up last time.
yeah. And again, the five of wands, conflict.
Wow. And that guy has a
So
lot
it
of
is
hair.
very possible that there was two weapons, that they each, because I feel like there was two perpetrators that did it. So it's very possible. The sun definitely was a definite yes, if you just take it at the yes and no. But then I was just kind of feeling into anything more about that. But
Yeah.
definitely the devil
Mhm.
is the main guy. And what were you just
Oh.
talking about?
Oh,
Your
that's right.
dog's the main guy
Yes.
and the conflict.
Mhm.
The
Now,
five.
unsolved crimes asking you about the dog. There's something with a dog, identified dog hair,
Oh,
other perpetrator, 2 dogs,
was there
remember?
two dogs?
2
Yeah.
dogs. But, let's see, something with a dog, I don't know. Have you gotten anything about that?
I have not really picked up anything with the dog. But I haven't really,
Yeah,
run into.
we haven't focused too much on it.
No.
Yes, Rebecca's saying, "Yes, another dog." Kaylee's type of dog doesn't shed much, if any, hair.
Yeah,
So,
and I just remember in the beginning them saying that's what they potentially were looking for in his
mhm.
apartment as well. And we have two places where they looked for evidence: his parents' house, his apartment. You know what I mean? There's so much Gemini, but
Yeah.
and that's what I remember them talking about, getting his vacuum, looking at all these things. And I just remember saying that they didn't find any dog hair. So, um, did they find dog hair? I'm not sure of that.
Yeah, I think they definitely collected a few things.
Okay.
I think there was rumor about it, but,
Okay.
that I think there was a rumor because they said there was hair and they didn't identify whether it was human or not, so everybody was talking about it.
Oh, okay.
Maybe. Yes, okay, and unsolved crimes saying, yes, more than one dog. There is a
Okay.
pit bull, a brown dog of the owner of one of the
Oh,
ones that did this allegedly. Okay, yes, she's talking about, I think, one of our earlier videos where I put together this video of a very strong person, and there was the clue that came out that there might be some very vicious dog. So thank you, Erlinda. That is so
okay.
sweet. I really appreciate it. So yes, I forgot about that dog. Thank you for bringing that up.
Oh, wow.
So Amy, it's not
Hmm.
identified. Identified dog here was specified. Interesting.
Okay.
So can I just go? I'm going to show a couple of things
Yeah, please.
because if we want to talk about Gemini, there's a few things in the chart. You're welcome, Unsolved. Thank you for joining us tonight. If anybody would like to see more true crime, Unsolved Crimes has a nice channel, and you can see a lot about this case. So on her channel. So let's go to. All right, I'm going to share screen. Is this what I have to do? Okay. And then I want to go to the next one. I mentioned two step-toe apartments, right?
No, I didn't hear
Oh,
that.
did I not? Yeah, so I thought of that one too. And it's on Garden Avenue, which is Taurus. So there was that Taurus energy. Because what's on the axis of Scorpio, which can mean killers, and Scorpio energy is Taurus. We talked about that before. And so we saw a lot of, food truck. So when you see Scorpio, you're going to see either gardens or you're going to see food. It's along that axis. So when you get kind of sophisticated with your horoscope or with your chart or any chart, you start looking at the axis because it gives you more. Now, an example is if you saw the Shakira video, it was her revenge song, and it was because she had found food in the refrigerator. And then right around the same time, we had a lot of Scorpio with South Node rolling through Scorpio. We had a lot of ladies hearing, hear me roar ladies. And the other one was Miley Cyrus. She was putting out a very popular revenge song, and it was about flowers.
Yeah.
So,
Great song.
you get that axis, and it's crazy. So, step toe apartments, step toe is it's Pisces, the toe. So, I don't know. I don't know
And you
how.
know what it kind of reminds me of? Tippy toe, like sneaky,
Yes.
you know?
Oh my
On step
God.
toe, I thought, "Oh, like
Oh,
tippy toe? Like
like
sneaky?"
like tiptoe.
Yeah, like
Oh,
tiptoe.
sh
Mhm. Yeah.
oh God. Okay. All right. So let me tell you a real quick lesson with the charts. If you look in your chart and you're a female, you're going to look at the Lord of the seventh, which can be any planet according to your chart. But if you want to look at the traditional ruler of a significant other, it's Jupiter every time for every woman. Okay. And so if you were to look at this crime chart, which is what I'm showing, and let's pretend it's a birth chart, we would see that this could potentially be a significant other that was drunk that night, okay, or doing drugs or whatever. And they were in the fifth house. Now, fifth house, I'm going to say is, let's say it's a party. So we already talked about this across many different shows about how, there might have been drugs at a party or whatever, but we can assign these planets as people. And so when you have Jupiter, and then you have Mars up the top representing the killer, and you see that square with that red line, it shows that he's trying to get to somebody, but he can't. So it's possible that he had a motive to kill more than he actually did that night, which kind of doesn't make sense because you would think, well, why didn't he go downstairs? But this is a male, okay, Jupiter retrograde. And this is somebody who was just like, retrograde means they got sick, or they're like, no, I'm not going to join you guys for the party. I'll see you later. Or somebody who, it's in Pisces, so there's going to be that Pisces type of energy. But here's the thing: when you have Mars up at the top in Gemini, all of a sudden you're working with two. Okay, so you have to apply two with the end of that red line. So we're talking two significant others. Okay, so it works again with how there's a trine to Saturn, and it's at the 18th degree. So what does Saturn represent? Well, it couldn't mean it's in Uranus, or it's in Aquarius. Aquarius means GPS. So he stopped Saturn to stop or blocked the GPS, and he was able to block. It doesn't seem like it did, but he did block the GPS somehow. 18 degrees is the evil degree, but there's still that Gemini energy, meaning two. So in the fourth house, two homes, a split home because of Aquarius. But I want to know what that Saturn represents. And what we can do is, if we want to look a little bit closer, it's possible that maybe somebody was blocked online. That can mean somebody's blocked. Okay. And in everybody's chart, you may potentially, during some years in your solar chart, you're going to get that T square, which is the red triangle. If you go to AstroSeek, hit solar chart only, from year to year, look and see when you have a T square. And the apex of the T square is the problem of the chart. So what does that mean? The Saturn, this is the cause of the main shock. So I wonder if it was blocked online, or something Saturn and Aquarius related. I don't know. But again, two people, I think maybe two people blocked him. And we know who that could probably be. So, yeah. And
Okay, go ahead.
well, and one more thing is that Mars also represents the police. And look how Mars is squaring Neptune. Neptune is scandal. So we might have on our hands here not just one police scandal, but two police scandals. So that's how you read the chart. You have to apply both of, or even more than two zodiacs, and try to decode it. So
Yeah.
that to me shows that there's going to be a lot more twos that we're seeing. What were we going to say?
Well, what you came up for me when you were saying that, what I was getting was or because I've got some of this before, was I feel like there were two people, but I feel like it was, like with that devil card, it was one person that was just more predominantly going for this. The other one, is this possible? The other one didn't feel like that's what he went there for, but in a kind of became part of it when it was happening. But he did not maybe go in with that intent.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
And I mean, it shows also waiting. I've seen this, and I put this on my website on forensicastrologer.com. I'm always interested in like jewelry heists and financial crimes and that kind of thing, especially bank robberies. And there's one on my site that shows that Saturn indicates that, and it was true, that one of the bank robbers waited across the street to get the signal. And so Saturn can mean to wait. So it could mean that maybe two people waited. And maybe that's kind of explaining what we were hearing with the Linda Lane truck or whatever it was. Maybe two people left the scene. So
Interesting.
I wanted to real quick, I know people want to hear from you though. So let's think of maybe something a little bit different to ask the cards.
Okay, I saw a question in there that somebody was talking or mentioning about Bethany. Should I pull a card on, just get some of her energy on Bethany? Or do you want to do something
Yeah,
else?
I like that idea. Now we should explain who Bethany is. She was one of the roommates or housemates. I saw something on TikTok, and they were floating down the river. I don't know if you guys saw that one. And I believe Xana was with them floating, but I swear to God, they had another friend with them that looked exactly like Xana. So there were two brunettes on that float. So, and they looked alike. I mean, based on the TikTok, they might not be in real life, but really, be real. Yes, Aquarius is tech savvy, so that makes sense. Mhm.
Yeah.
As far as what was I going to say? The question about Bethany.
I just asked for some energy around Bethany,
Okay.
kind of where she's at. And this is going to be really, really interesting. The first thing I got was a 7. I'm going to go this way. Patience and planning. Patience and planning. So I'm not saying, and I don't believe that she was part of the patience or planning, but I think there's some pullback. Obviously, she didn't want to testify. So I feel like there is just some resistance, or maybe she's planning, how am I, how
Wait,
do
wait.
I get
Bring
through
it
this?
back out. Bring it back out a second.
Yep.
Are those two towers?
Oh, would you stop it? Yes, they are.
Oh my God.
2 towers.
Whoa. Makes me think
Patience
of
and planning.
makes me think of two other towers.
The clock towers.
Oh,
Oh my God, you are like freaking me out tonight.
oh my God. And I mean, I'm just saying what comes to, I mean, I'm not even thinking about it. It's just
Wow.
coming out.
When the next card is 2, and it's movement, choices, and decisions.
Okay. Oh,
And
so
it's a
I'm wondering
2. And this
if
is again on Bethany's energy.
she has to
So,
make a decision.
she's planning, what's my choices? What can I do here?
Yes. Twin towers. Oh my God. Twins. Gemini, the twins.
I know. I'm telling you, you're freaking me right out. It's
Oh
just
my
like
God. How did I not
crazy.
say that though? I didn't
Well, I
want to
think
say
you started to, and I said the 2 clock towers. I
it.
think you were
I
starting to
think I
say
held
that.
back because I didn't want to piss people off and
No.
make a connection.
Yeah.
So that's, yeah. But
And then the last one is, this is crazy. It's a 3, but it's recognition and reward. So this is all Bethany's energy again. So I
okay.
feel like I feel like this person is kind of bent down, kind of feeling a little humbled by it. I feel like
Yes.
it's her, like I got to do something. She's frozen right now. I feel like she just isn't. She's not sure what to do. She knows there's choices. She knows she's got to do something. She can't. But I believe that at some point they're going to have to recognize that she knows more than what's out there, or more than what she's been saying. That's what
I hope it is that if she's suffered, which I know we all know that she must have suffered,
Yeah.
that everyone's going to be able to get their truth out so that they can have some peace. Now there's been this, I think it's good that there's that gag order. Have there been 2 gag orders? Now I'm looking for 2 of everything. I don't know. I don't think so. Yeah, it's a good question. Can she try being truthful? I think, I mean, you tell me, Amy, you're better at this, but I think that I want to say that Bethany, didn't really have anything to do with it, but
I don't
it
believe
just,
she did either.
you don't think so? Okay.
Mm-mm.
And
But I think she knows something. And this is just me talking, I really have a hard time believing that nothing was heard, or nothing was, that she heard nothing. I just really have a hard time thinking that there
yes.
wasn't some acknowledgement of something. Doesn't necessarily mean she knew everything, but I think she has information. And again, I believe that's why they wanted to get her to testify. And yet the prosecution went right to the grand jury before she had to do that. And the defense was saying she had information that was exculpatory, which makes you think good for Brian. So I do think that she's got information, but I don't believe she had anything to do with the actual crime.
I think with those towers that you pulled, I keep thinking, you know what? I wonder if he had an accomplice. I mean, that's the most intense conclusion I think that we could draw from the Gemini. I don't know if that's the right word, but maybe shocking. Now, let me go back 1 second here. And okay, so Neptune means criminals, okay? And I think it's possible that maybe there was, and I'm going to lead up to another chart, which is Shanann Watts and Chris Watts' crime chart, because it's going to relate a little bit. But you see they're criminals because of Neptune. Now Mars up the top is squaring that. Mars is the killer. So to me, it's almost like when I see it's almost like people are like, yeah, we were going to do it, but we backed out. And there might be some kind of interaction where they were supposed to take more of a part, they didn't. I mean, that's a possibility for that. And the only reason I say that is I'm trying to understand that square. Who was he squaring off with in the 5th house? Now the 5th house is party. So squaring Gemini, 2 parties. So we could be talking about 2 parties here in the court case. So, and I'm going to talk about real quick, Shanann Watts. This is one of the laws. This is around 8:40 p.m. On August 13th, another 2018. And so what we would do is we look at the ascendant, which is Shanann, and it's like a breadcrumb. We see where Mercury is, which gives us a little bit of more idea of what's going on. And there's that square with her husband right around this time. So you can see that in Jupiter's in Scorpio, which is to murder. So there's that. That's a very good example. It's an easy example of seeing two parties squaring each other. Of course, the killer for Moscow was squaring off against the victims, but there was somebody else that he might have squared off with. Maybe he couldn't. In this case, the husband did kill.
Mm-hmm.
And, I'm not sure about that Jupiter. Jupiter, here it is not retrograde. He was able to carry something out. In the other chart, it's retrograde, meaning it wasn't carried out. So, so I guess, should I do a horary, or do you want to do another card? What do you think we should do?
No, if you want to do, I'm interested in the charts. I don't know exactly what a horary chart is, but
All right. Well, it's kind of like a card, a tarot card in a sense.
Oh.
It just gives you and it really has to come from me. Otherwise, I would ask everybody what they thought, but the thought has to come into your mind organically. And I think the question was, did you just do a horary chart on what happened that night? So let's do it. 9:11 p.m. I'm getting Central Time, and I'm going to show the chart in a second.
Okay.
And
you're doing it when she asked the question?
yeah, when it's supposed to be when I ask the question.
Okay, so when you read the question, that's when you.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh, I did not know that. That is so interesting.
Yeah, and you can find out a lot of information about about what, like, sometimes you get all stuck in your head about something, and you can draw a horary and just say, what am I thinking right now? Like, what am I doing? And it'll tell you. So if you're good at reading charts, it's pretty amazing. And I do that in my readings too. If somebody wants a horary, will I get this job or whatever, we can pull that. So that's always interesting. Okay, so the question was, what happened? And I'm going to share. Can you see that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what I like to do is I like to do some extended settings with some minor aspects, just so that I can see some more information. But that's kind of like the, Jupiter would be the victims in this chart. And the perpetrator would be Virgo. So, but the sun, so we're looking at the sun and Mercury as, wow, there's a square, and he's in the 6th house of work. So I think there was a lot of speculation about that. In the 2nd house, it's food, money. So maybe, I think just seeing that, Virgo also is to work. So, oh my God. Look at that.
What?
The descendant, the strongest planet in the whole chart. The descendant represents the profile of the perpetrator, and the twin is right on that descendant.
Oh my God. Oh my gosh, it is.
There are 2. Whoa. Now, a lot of people are like, well, could the accused murderer have 2 personalities? You know what? There's a couple of people in there, and in Virgo too. So there might be some evidence of clothing. You saw that in the Charles Manson murders. They threw their clothing out the window. A lot of Virgo there. Virgo's clothing. Virgo's dogs. Mercury in Virgo, 2 dogs. I wonder what that's all about. I mean, I've never heard of a case recently where I mean, the dog hair would be, oh, it's trining Uranus, which is the DNA. So we're going to hear more about that dog DNA.
So the dog DNA come from one of the perpetrators?
The victims, I
The
think,
victim.
because it's pointed right to the victim's planet, which is Jupiter.
Okay.
Now, I believe, like, this is a terrible chart. Like, the rising, it's at 15 Pisces. That's a tough degree. That is a very, one of the bad degrees of the zodiac, and as well as alcohol. A lot of us have these degrees, so
Mhm.
don't worry, everybody's chart is different. But interesting how the chart ruler, the ascendant, would be pretty severe and intense. And it also looks like we've got part of fortune there in Aries, and which I hadn't seen before. So maybe somebody will find success within the police. There might be a star witness that we can trust within the police.
Mhm.
It looks, go ahead.
Well, I was thinking about when you were saying there was something in like the house of work, because I almost feel like when BK went over there, because
Allegedly.
again, I don't believe that he actually did the murders, but I believe he was called over because of his expertise, which that would be work, what he does for work, just to, I don't know. That's just a feeling that I had, that he was called because he would know what to do or how to, help someone who's trying to, what do I do? Even if they had nothing to do with it, even if it was like the surviving roommates, but if there was a connection there, they knew what he did.
Mhm, mhm.
There were drugs that got out of control, whatever. I just feel like that some part of his work did come into that.
Yes,
Or his
yes.
expertise, I should say, not work, his expertise.
Yeah. Now, we do not want to put out information that has not been, I mean, we don't want to talk about pit bulls and all of that unless we identify where we got that information. So I think everybody should know that some information that people say is, it happened, is, from Reverend Donna or one of the other
Mhm.
psychics, or so it's important to say, look, I think this, but we have not confirmed it, that the police have not confirmed
Right.
it.
It's just our opinion.
Yes, it's just the opinion. We don't want to just chase these, I don't know, these ideas. But I do think there's been so much from the videos that have come true that we'll see. We'll see
Yeah.
who potentially was the other people involved. You got to wonder about that gag order. Like, they had to do that
Mhm.
because I mean, it was already chaotic.
Yeah.
But, and I've also, I've compared this to the OJ case because of the Mercury retrogrades, which happened with OJ, and how it was just utter chaos. It was the worst for everybody involved.
Right.
And
And the people that were witnesses and testifying and doing that, whether they were doing it for the right reasons or not, they were
yes,
just they were just all over being harassed and that kind of thing. And so there is probably some protection of those, especially, the two surviving roommates, or the two roommates that, survived, however you want to say it, that
yeah,
there is part of protection, I think, around there too.
uh-huh, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm reading some of the comments. There's a lot of talk about the DoorDash. Did they really order it or not? I don't know. I don't know much about that one,
I
but
haven't really did a deep dive on that either, but I think now the dog and the DoorDash, if I can remember both of those. But I
mm,
know that the food, the kitchen, there's something really there was something really strong in the beginning. And I keep going back to what did I get initially before we got all this other stuff coming out. And definitely the kitchen. I got the water running. I almost saw them washing their hands, but then leaving the water on, knowing that the longer it ran, the less likely they might pick up anything. There was food. There's definitely something about, so I don't know. I've never really looked into the actual DoorDash thing very much.
Yeah, yeah, that might come out. So, and I think, we might see 2 court cases, 2 courthouses, 2 secret jury. Did we already say something about 2 grand juries? I mean, I don't know. But we could go on and on.
Okay, you know what you just said? You said, here's what I heard. You didn't say this, but I heard secret jewelry. Secret jewelry. And it was weird because I did get, when I was just doing a reading on the case, I got one of those, how do you say it? The Egyptian, the Ankh or whatever it's called.
Mhm.
I don't know what it means, but I swear you said secret jewelry. I don't know if that's a clue.
Well, and the other thing too was your card, with the hand. And I was just talking about OJ, and remember what was big was the glove. And I think they found a glove. So it's like a twin case, and we'll see that too. It's like a copycat. We're going to see a lot of copycat stuff.
Yeah.
Crazy. So anyway, well, thank you everybody for joining us tonight.
Thank you so much. My gosh, I've been so surprised by this whole night. You've just been like hitting on me and my face is all red. I was just so getting into it.
And vice versa. I'm like, oh my God, like it's been, and I never expected. I always just think we're going to have a simple conversation. And in the beginning, I'm like, I know it's a show, but I'm like, well, I guess we'll just run with it, I mean, I have a few points, but I never realized that, how much we're going to get out of it. So we'll be able to see.
Tonight was a juicy, juicy night. So thank you guys for joining us, and anybody who watches it in the replay. It's been really awesome. And your energy bringing in with your comments and stuff really helps.
Well, thank you. And also somebody mentioned in the comments, by the way, I always read the comments in, on my channel, and they're so, so good and so interesting and very polite. So I really appreciate that. But one said that we had been talking about how maybe he was just going to say for his alibi that he was just driving around. Now, I mean, I think maybe anybody could have come to that conclusion, but it ended up being true. So interesting how we were talking about that and that kind of came up. So, I mean, we were just kind of like figuring out.
And great catch from your listeners, because I don't always remember what I say.
I know, me too.
Because I get some information and stuff, so I don't always know what I'm saying.
I know.
And that's true, when I'm doing anything, but.
Thank you, BJ, and thank you everybody for joining us. And remember, I have my new membership channel. I'm going to have a lot more content. I'm going to be focused a lot on these next couple of weeks. So please join us. And it's a great community. We're small, so you get to say a lot more. but hopefully we can grow that, and make sure to check out Amy too. And Amy, you have, we put your email address on. So if you'd like a reading from Amy, please reach out to her. She is amazing. She's so intuitive, and as you saw tonight. So, and have you done, are you more of a medium or more of like an intuitive psychic?
I'm more a medium and an intuitive. So I read the energy, and I use the cards, and I just read your energy as well. But I get a lot of mediumship stuff.
Oh, yeah. Great.
Yeah.
And all right. Well, thanks again, guys. And we'll see you next time.
Bye.